You know, what do you think about that, man? And can Chief Keef come back to
I still
Oblock?
talk to him. I still talk to him. I still on FaceTime. So I hear DM me back, all type of shit.
Everybody want me to talk about it, man. Chief Keef and NBA Youngboy did a song together, man. And people talking about that he ain't loyal to King Von or Dirk or none of that. Hey, look, bro, I know y'all don't know y'all history, though.
Y'all are not gonna believe the type of snake shit Chief Keef just pulled on his own block. This man really linked up with NBA Youngboy, the same YN that's beefing with his dead homie King Von's crew. But wait, it gets way worse. Oblock members are now planning to backdoor Sosa and ban him from Chicago forever. Let me break down how this whole situation got this messy, no cap. And yo, before we get into this crazy story, y'all gotta understand how deep this betrayal really goes. We talking about a man who grew up with these same people, ate with them, slept in the same buildings, and now he's linking with their biggest op. That's some next level disrespectful type shit for real. This ain't just about music, this is about loyalty, street code, and how money can make a YN forget where he came from. So let me break it down for y'all from the beginning because this story goes way deeper than most people know. Chief Keef wasn't always this rich, famous rapper living in mansions and driving Lamborghinis. This YN was straight up raised in Oblock, hanging around real killers and shooters every single day. We talking about Parkway Gardens, one of the most dangerous housing projects in Chicago where YNs like King Von, Boss Top, T-Roy, and the whole crew was really putting in work on these streets. Keef was just another shorty from the block, but he had something different. He could rap, and he had that raw energy that came from living that life for real. When he was coming up, he wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was living it. This man was getting arrested, getting into shootouts, and really about that action just like everybody else from his block. The crazy part is, Keef was actually more from Front Street than Oblock specifically, but all these sets, Front Street, 300, Oblock, they all black disciples and they all clicked up together. So when we say Oblock, we really talking about that whole alliance of sets that was moving together. And when that I Don't Like song dropped in 2012, bro went from 0 to 100 real quick. $6 million deal with Interscope Records, and just like that, this YN was out. But here's the thing, success came so fast that Keef didn't even have time to process what was happening. One day he's just another teenager from the projects. Next day he's got millions and the whole world watching him. But here's where it gets crazy. The moment Sosa got that bag, he packed up and moved straight to LA. No looking back, no bringing the whole crew with him. This man only took like 3 people from his whole block. 3 people gang. Out of all the homies who had his back when he was broke, who was riding with him when he had nothing, only 3 made it out with him. Think about that for a second. You got a whole block of YNs who was with you through everything, who was protecting you, who was making sure you was good when you didn't have nothing. And when you finally make it, when you finally get that opportunity to change not just your life, but everybody's life, you just dip and leave them behind? That's exactly what Chief Keef did. He took his closest homies like Ball Out and Tato, but everybody else, they was left in Chicago, still dealing with the same problems, still in the same dangerous situations, still struggling to survive. And that created some serious resentment because these YNs felt like Sosa forgot about them the moment he got rich. The homies back in Chicago started seeing a different Chief Keef. This wasn't the same shorty who used to be on the block with them, sharing whatever little money they had, looking out for each other. Now he's posting on Instagram, flashing all this money, buying expensive cars and jewelry, living in mansions, but his own people back home, they still struggling, still in the trenches, still fighting the same battles they was fighting before he made it. And yo, that's when the money and fame really got to his head. Y'all gotta understand, when you come from nothing and suddenly you got millions, that shit can change you quick. But it's how you handle that change that shows your character. Some people get rich and bring everybody with them. Other people get rich and act like they don't know where they came from. Sosa chose the second option, and that's what started all this drama. He went from being just another YN from Oblock to thinking he was too good for his own people. He started moving different, talking different, acting like he was above the block that made him who he was. The crazy part is, Chief Keef's music was still talking about Oblock, still repping his set, still dissing their ops, so he was using his connection to the block to make money and build his brand. But when it came time to actually help his people, he was nowhere to be found. That's some fake shit right there, and the homies started peeping that real quick. King Von used to speak on this all the time. He would say how Sosa would be on Instagram posting all these guns, talking about how he's putting bangers on the block. But when it came time to actually help the block, he wasn't doing nothing. Vaughn felt like that was some clown shit. You can't be talking about how you're helping when you ain't really helping. But wait, here's where this whole beef really started, and this is some real street politics type shit that most people don't understand. So there was this YN from Oblock named Trey 5 who got locked up on some gun charges. His bond was set at $25,000, but you only got to put up 10% of that to get somebody out, so they needed about $2,500 to get their homie out of jail. Now this might not sound like a lot of money to some people, but when you're from the projects and you're broke, $2,500 might as well be $25,000. That's a lot of money when you ain't got nothing. So King Von, Boss Top, and all the other Oblock members, they started doing whatever they could to get that money together. They was robbing, they was hustling, they was doing everything possible to get their boy out of jail. They was hitting licks, selling whatever they could sell, trying every hustle they knew. But even after all that, they still didn't have enough money to get Trey 5 out. So they did what anybody would do when they got a rich homie. They called up Chief Keef. This man just signed a $6 million deal with Interscope, so $2,500 should be like pocket change to him, right? They calling Sosa like, yo, we need you to help us get our boy out. You know we all family, we all from the same block. This is what we do for each other. And you know what this YN Keef kept saying? Yeah, I got y'all. I'ma send that money, just give me a minute. Let me handle some business first. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months, and Sosa never sent that money. He kept stalling them, kept making excuses, kept telling them he was gonna handle it, but never did. Tay Capone spoke on this whole situation, and he broke it down perfectly. He said Keef had been spinning them about this for so long that they felt like they gave him enough time to act on the situation. They felt like their rich homie who got the means to do it just ain't doing it, so they had to take matters into their own hands. And that's when shit got real crazy, gang. King Von, Boss Top, and some other Oblock members decided if Sosa wasn't going to help them willingly, they was going to take what they needed. They felt like since Keef was playing games with them, since he was acting like he was too good to help his own people, they had every right to take what they needed from him. On March 27, 2014, they pulled up to Chief Keef's manager's house in Highland Park where Sosa was staying. But this wasn't no friendly visit. This was a straight-up home invasion. They broke into that house and started taking everything they could get their hands on. According to the Chicago Police Department reports that got leaked later, they took Chief Keef's car, they took a bunch of designer clothes and expensive stuff, and Boss Top even went into Keef's daughter's room and took some of her clothes, plus some detergent and deodorant. Like, bro, you really gonna steal a baby's clothes? That's some next-level petty shit right there, but it shows how mad they was at Sosa. But the craziest part? During all this, somebody got shot and ended up in the ICU. The police classified this whole situation as a home invasion / attempted murder case. They named Boss Top and several other Oblock members as suspects in the case, and they was looking at some serious time if they got caught. And you know what Chief Keef did after this? His manager called the police, and Sosa got on Twitter calling his own manager a soft ass for calling the cops. This man was more mad at his manager for calling the police than he was at his own homies for robbing him. Then he tweeted RIP Boss Top before deleting it, which people took as either you're dead to me, or maybe he thought he actually killed Boss Top when he was shooting back at the intruders. The whole situation was messy as hell, and it created a permanent divide between Chief Keef and his block. From that day forward, it was never the same between them. But yo, it gets even worse. During this whole home invasion situation, Boss Top managed to snatch Chief Keef's chain, and this wasn't just any chain, this was Sosa's signature piece, his pride and joy, the chain that everybody knew him for. For months, Boss Top held on to that chain, and nobody really knew what happened to it. But then Lil Durk exposed the whole situation in a diss track. He literally said, Boss Top got your chain, and let the whole world know that Chief Keef got robbed by his own people. That was probably one of the most embarrassing moments in Chief Keef's career. Getting your chain snatched is bad enough, but getting it snatched by your own homies and then having another rapper expose it to the world, that's some next level humiliation right there. Boss Top even made a music video flexing Chief Keef's stolen chain, taunting him and telling him to come back to Oblock if he wanted it back. He was posting pictures on social media with the chain, basically clowning Sosa and letting everybody know that he took his jewelry. Fans started calling Boss Top Broke Top and the Diaper Bandit after this whole situation, especially when people found out he stole baby clothes too. This situation really hurt Boss Top's reputation in the rap game, but he didn't care because he felt like he was justified in what he did. But the funniest part of this whole chain situation, that same chain later got snatched from Boss Top by Famous Dex. So the chain went from Chief Keef to Boss Top to Famous Dex. That's some crazy street politics right there. The chain was cursed or something because everybody who had it ended up getting it taken from them. Now King Von, he was one of the main people involved in this whole situation, and he never really kept quiet about it. Von always felt like Chief Keef was bogus for how he handled the Trey 5 situation and everything that came after. In Von's mind, when you make it out the hood, you're supposed to bring your people with you, not abandon them. Von used to speak on how Sosa would be on Instagram flashing all these guns and money, talking about how he's putting bangers on the block, but when it came time to actually help his people, he was nowhere to be found. Von felt like that was some fake shit. You can't be talking about how you're helping the block when you won't even help bond out your own homie. King Von was always about loyalty. That was his whole thing. Loyalty to his block, loyalty to his people, loyalty to the street code. So when he saw Chief Keef violating that code, when he saw him abandoning his own people, Von took that personal. He felt like Sosa was disrespecting everything they stood for. And this created a permanent divide between Chief Keef and Oblock. From that point on, it was like you either took Sosa's side or you took the block's side. And most people chose the block because they felt like Keef violated the street code by not looking out for his own people. Von would always say that Chief Keef was selfish, that he only cared about himself and his own success. And when you look at how everything played out, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Keef had the power to help his people, but he chose not to, and that decision cost him his relationship with his block forever. Now y'all gotta understand, this whole situation wasn't happening in a vacuum. This was during the height of the Chicago drill scene when all these different sets was beefing with each other and the violence was at an all-time high. You had Oblock beefing with STL, you had 300 beefing with 051, you had all these different conflicts going on at the same time. And Chief Keef's music was a big part of fueling all this violence. Songs like I Don't Like and Love Sosa was dissing dead people from rival sets, which was making the beef even more intense. So Keef was making money off the violence, but he wasn't around to deal with the consequences of that violence. The homies back in Chicago was the ones dealing with the retaliation, the ones getting shot at, the ones losing friends and family members. But Keef was safe in LA, making millions off music that was putting his own people in danger. That's another reason why the block felt some type of way about him. He was using their pain, their struggles, their losses to make money, but he wasn't giving nothing back to help them deal with the consequences of that music. Now, fast forward to November 6th, 2020, when King Von got killed in Atlanta. And yo, this is where the story gets even more complicated and where Chief Keef really showed his true colors. Von got killed by Lil Tim, who was an associate of NBA Youngboy's crew during that whole situation outside the hookah lounge. So immediately, everybody who was close to Von, Lil Durk, the whole OTF crew, all of Oblock, everybody who really loved Von, they cut off any association with NBA Youngboy to show loyalty to Von's memory. This became like an unwritten rule. If you was really Von's people, you don't mess with NBA Youngboy or anybody associated with him. Period. That's just how street loyalty works. When your homie gets killed by somebody's crew, you don't go link up with them afterward. You don't make music with them. You don't associate with them. You don't give them no type of respect or acknowledgement. That's basic street code that everybody understands. Lil Durk took this the most serious. He completely cut off any possibility of working with Youngboy, even though they could have made a lot of money together. He chose loyalty over money, which is what you're supposed to do when you really love somebody. But Chief Keef, this man didn't care about none of that. He already wasn't messing with Oblock anymore, and he definitely had no love for King Von after all the drama they went through over the years. So, in Sosa's mind, he didn't owe Von's memory nothing. He felt like since Von was part of the group that robbed him, since Von always talked crazy about him, he didn't have to show no loyalty to him. And yo, it gets even more disrespectful. Chief Keef started linking up with Kayla B, who is King Von's sister, and you could tell Shorty was really feeling Sosa. They was posting pictures together, she was showing him mad love on social media, and it was obvious she was catching feelings for him. Now think about how crazy this is. You got King Von's own sister linking up with the same YN who her brother had beef with. That's like the ultimate disrespect to Von's memory. And Oblock members was not happy about this situation at all. Kayla B was supposed to be loyal to her brother's memory, but instead she's out here with Chief Keef, the same man who abandoned the block and refused to help when they needed him most. The same man who her brother felt was a snake and a fake friend. This really hurt a lot of people who was close to Vaughn because they felt like his own sister was betraying his memory. They felt like she should have known better, should have stayed loyal to her brother instead of linking up with somebody he had problems with. But at the same time, you gotta understand Kayla's position too. She probably felt like Chief Keef was successful, he was rich, he could provide for her in ways that other people couldn't. And maybe she didn't fully understand all the politics and beef that was going on between Keef and her brother. Still, from the outside looking in, it looked like a major violation of family loyalty, and it made the whole situation between Chief Keef and Oblock even worse, because now it wasn't just about the old beef. Now it was about him disrespecting Vaughn's memory through his sister. But wait, it gets even worse. NBA Youngboy came out in interviews and said that Chief Keef was his favorite rapper growing up. This is the same YN whose crew killed King Von, and he's out here saying Sosa inspired him and influenced his whole style. Youngboy talked about how he used to listen to Chief Keef's music when he was coming up, how songs like I Don't Like and Love Sosa motivated him to start rapping. He said Keef was one of the main reasons he got into drill music and started making the type of aggressive music he's known for. So what does Chief Keef do when he hears this? Instead of keeping his distance out of respect for the King Von situation, instead of staying neutral and not getting involved, this man decides to link up with Youngboy in the studio. Think about how disrespectful this is, gang. You got Chief Keef, who's from the same block as King Von, linking up with the favorite rapper of the crew that killed Von. That's like spitting on Von's grave, for real. That's like saying Von's life didn't matter, like his death don't mean nothing. They made a whole song together called Tony Montana Flow, and just dropped it like nothing happened. They was in the studio laughing, having a good time, making music together while Von's people was still mourning his death. And when that song dropped, Oblock members went absolutely crazy. They was posting on social media talking about how Sosa violated, how he's a snake, how he can never come back to Chicago. They felt like this was the ultimate betrayal, the final straw that proved Chief Keef don't care about nobody but himself. And yo, the Oblock members are not playing about this situation. They've been posting on social media saying if Chief Keef ever comes back to Chicago, it's gonna be serious problems. They talking about how he's banned from the block, how he can't never show his face around there again. Some of the Oblock YNs even said if you think Sosa is raw, you need to get slapped. They was in his comments laughing and talking crazy, letting him know exactly how they feel about this whole situation. They was posting pictures of guns, making threats, basically letting him know that if he ever comes back to Chicago, they gonna handle him. And when Chief Keef posted about wanting to buy Oblock, they responded saying, "You wish you could even come back here." That's how deep this beef goes. They don't even want his money, they just want him to stay away completely. The crazy part is, some of these same YNs used to be his friends. They used to hang out together, make music together, have each other's backs. But now they talking about killing him if he comes back to the city. That's how serious this betrayal is to them. They feel like Chief Keef violated every rule of loyalty and respect. They feel like he chose money over family, fame over friendship, and success over loyalty. And in their minds, that makes him an enemy, not just somebody they don't mess with anymore. So now we got Chief Keef basically exiled from his own city. He can't come back to Chicago without it being serious problems. The same block that raised him, the same people who had his back when he was nothing, they now consider him their enemy. And all of this could have been avoided if Sosa just helped bond out Trey 5 in the beginning. We talking about $2,500, pocket change for somebody with millions. But his pride and his selfishness cost him his whole relationship with his people. The crazy part is, Chief Keef probably don't even care at this point. He's made so much money, he's been away from Chicago for so long that he probably feels like he don't need them anymore. He's got his own crew, his own money, his own success. So why should he care what his old block thinks about him? But that's exactly the problem. That attitude is what got him in this situation in the first place. When you forget where you came from, when you act like you don't need the people who helped make you who you are, that's when you end up isolated and alone. Now he's out here making music with NBA Youngboy, disrespecting King Von's memory and acting like he don't care about none of the consequences. But the streets don't forget, and Oblock definitely ain't forgetting this type of disrespect. But yo, this whole situation is bigger than just Chief Keef and Oblock. This is about what happens when success changes people, when money makes you forget your values, when fame makes you think you're better than everybody else. The sad part is, it didn't have to be this way. Chief Keef could have been a hero to his block. could have been somebody they looked up to and respected forever. Instead, he became a cautionary tale about how success can corrupt people and make them forget their values. And that's the crazy story of how Chief Keef went from Oblock hero to Oblock enemy. This man really chose NBA Youngboy over his own people, chose money over loyalty, and chose fame over family. He went from being the pride of his block to being somebody they want to see harmed. The craziest part is, all of this started over $2,500. If Sosa had just helped bond out Trey 5 when they first asked him, none of this would have happened. King Von would probably still be alive, Chief Keef would still be welcome in Chicago, and the whole drill scene might be different today. But instead, his selfishness and pride cost him everything. Now he's making music with the crew that killed his former friend, dating his former friend's sister, and acting like none of it matters. That's some cold-blooded type shit right there, no cap. But yo, if you learned something new about this whole situation, you gotta hit that like button and let me know in the comments what y'all think about Chief Keef's moves. Was he wrong for linking up with Youngboy, or do y'all think he don't owe Oblock nothing after they robbed him? Do y'all think he should have helped bond out Trey 5, or was he right to keep his money? And if you want more content breaking down Chicago street politics and rap beef, make sure you subscribe because I got way more stories like this coming. The streets got a long memory, and these beefs run deeper than y'all think. I got stories about Lil Durk and Youngboy, stories about FBG Duck and Oblock, stories about all the crazy politics that go on in Chicago. I'll catch y'all in the next one, and remember, loyalty over everything, but some people just don't understand that. When you make it out, you're supposed to bring your people with you, not leave them behind.